American Sign Language. Okay. Hey guys, it's me, Tyler, from Turtles with Guns, and today I am learning American Sign Language. I'm starting a new series where I spend three-ish days learning a new skill and seeing how far I can get into that skill. And to start this series off, we're going to start with American Sign Language. Okay. In those 3 days, I want to be able to, excuse my handwriting please, ask directions, time and date, just regular questions you would ask a person on the side of the road or like conversational questions. Then sign the alphabet, all of the letters A to Z individually, and then sign the outro of this video. 3 days to do these three things. It is Tuesday today, and I'm giving myself till Friday. So that's 3 entire days spent working on this. I will be following YouTube tutorials because that's what I have access to, and I also know that you have access to this as well because you're watching me on YouTube. You understand. Okay. Throughout those 3 days, I will also be researching the background, the history of American Sign Language. Now the only step we have left is to begin. Okay, truth be told, I did this sort of out of order. The way that I wrote the goals on the goal board, not in order. I should be learning the alphabet first, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be starting with the alphabet, which I would say might be the easiest for me to learn, followed by then learning all of these phrases that are important. And let me, from a different point in time, tell you more about the history of ASL. There's a lot of reflections with these on. I'm just gonna. Okay. Hey guys, future Tyler here. It's been a while since I recorded the first part of this video. I'm finally getting around to recording the history of sign language, more specifically the American Sign Language. Different forms of sign language have been around for a while. Some sites that I was reading quoted ancient Greece, and I wouldn't doubt if signs of sign language had showed up even earlier than that. I wouldn't doubt it at all. But the origins of American Sign Language kind of go back to the origins of a more modern version of French Sign Language. So the stuff that I read focused on this guy he was born and he died right around the time of the French Revolution. Okay, so I have his name here, and I'll put it up on the screen, but I'm not going to try and pronounce it. I'm going to have my friend Google Translate help me with that, because I'm just going to butcher that thing.
Charles Michel de l'Épée.
He was studying to become a Catholic priest, but along his journey, he met some people. Specifically, these two girls are mentioned that spoke to each other. They were both deaf, and they spoke to each other with like a version of sign language. And that inspired him basically to found his own school for the deaf in France, which is pretty cool. He went on to basically lay the groundwork for what is now modern French Sign Language. He did a ton of the alphabet and moved phrases over from French to sign language directly. That ties into American Sign Language because when they started teaching sign language in the US, way early on in the US's history, there was a lot of French teachers that had learned sign language from the French Sign Language and brought it over to America. And then in America, over the years, there were a few different types of sign languages that showed up. They just popped up in random places where they needed to be. You know, places where people were deaf, they learned a way to speak to other people using signs or some other way. One example of this that shows up in a lot of what I'm reading is a little island in Massachusetts called Martha's Vineyard. The people that settled that island carried a gene that made them more likely to be born deaf. And then there was also a lot of inbreeding on that island. there wasn't a wide gene pool, so there was a lot of people on that island that were deaf, which meant they kind of had to make their own sign language. That's just one example of a sign language that showed up back then. But I would not be even remotely surprised if there were other instances where people created their own type of sign language for English. And then they kind of all came together to create the one that we use, which is American Sign Language. I'll link all of my sources in the description. Feel free to peruse them. The story on Martha's Village, the little island in Massachusetts, is actually really, really fun to read. So I would suggest that. There's a link in the description to a book written about that. I might do a video on that. That'd be cool. Okay, back to past Tyler to continue the video. I will see you in future uploads. Bye. Okay, I've been practicing for about 30 minutes after I watched a video tutorial. And this is what I've got so far is A, B, C, D. Oh God, I keep doing this. This B gets me sometimes. I'm supposed to have my thumb over here. And I put it over here like I'm getting ready to do E, which is the next one. E is the next one, and I have to have my fingers all on my thumb right there. But I get ahead of myself. I go to D, sorry, D, and I put my fingers on my thumb there. No, I'm supposed to have it out like that. Okay? D, E, F, F like okay, like fine, fine, F, G, H, I, J. That was a funny one because it just J. K, L, M, N, O, P. Q gets me as well. Q is a hard one. A Q, R, S, T, sorry, T, U, V. V is easy. W is easy. X is weird. X, okay. X, Y, and then Z. Z is funny because it's like J with just spelling it out in movements. But that's what I got so far. I would say I practice it for maybe another 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'll be practicing it each day. And I've got it down. The video I watched did a great job at breaking it down into pieces and then learning it. And then at the end she did like a full, and then tried to do the whole thing. Let's do it all fast. And I was like, oh, I can't. So more practice is necessary. We'll see how I am towards the end of the 3 days. I'm going to be practicing this some more. Okay. Day 2, still learning. Okay, so probably one of the most important conversational ones that I've learned is I'm learning sign language, and then please sign slowly. And that I think that's gonna be very useful. I've seen them do it 2 different ways. Is signing like sign language, which is like 2 L's and then flapping. But they did it, I saw them do it another way that was more specific, was sign and then ASL. Because I've noticed that there are a lot of differences between like British Sign Language, American Sign Language, and then there are even like smaller subsets of American Sign Language, just like Black American Sign Language, and they have a few, like a handful, maybe even more different signs. That's really cool, to be honest. It's just, there's so much stuff to learn. Like, it's weird to think about, because then if you're speaking American Sign Language and another person is speaking British Sign Language, you're speaking 2 completely separate languages, even though you both learned them and they were based off of a version of English. Another one I've learned was how are you? I've seen them do it multiple different ways. They did like the thumbs were pointing in different directions, and then they twist them, and then they point, and then I've seen it where they're pointing the same direction and then they flip them towards the person. So like, how are you? I know, do you want ice cream? That's a good one. This is a hungry. Yeah, this is want. I think this is either what or where. Yeah. We're still working. Okay. Third day of learning sign language. The more I look into things and the more I learn, the more I realize just how little I understand of things. I've said this before. There are not only different versions of sign language, like British Sign Language, American Sign Language, Brazilian Sign Language that I've seen, but there are different versions of American Sign Language as well. So there's Black American Sign Language, and there's probably more that I don't know about yet. So it's crazy, all of the different words and all. Like, I saw a video in British Sign Language that instead of saying why, like why or why, it's like a trace down the arm kind of thing. It's just mind-boggling how many different things. So let's go over what I've gotten so far. I've gotten enough to where I could ask a question about their name. I was actively learning about from. This is from. I have learned please. I've learned help. Help you. Help me. Name. I can't remember if it's one tap or like multiple taps. There's no. Yes. And these are the main ones that are pretty important, you know? Or there's again or repeat. So like, please repeat the sign or whatever. This is sign. So sign and then language. And if you wanted to get more in depth, this is ASL. So something I could say is, hi, my name is Tyler. What's your name? Here's another thing that makes this specifically difficult for me. Just regular English and American Sign Language are grammatically just very, very, very different in placement of words and order of the things that you're saying. Not only that, but then a lot of times you'll end a sentence with, like, if you were asking someone a question or talking about them, you would point to them at the very end. So it would be like, you, blah, 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 you. Or me. There was one that was like, I want ice cream. Like, this is ice cream. And then you end it with me. So it's like, I want ice cream, me. And it's like, it's not even registered as a saying me. It's not me saying me. It's me ending the sentence, like, period. End of sentence. The lady on the video that I was watching was explaining it as is the same thing as knowing when you're done talking by just the silence after your voice ends, or the silence after your voice, the silence after your sentence ends, or the difference in tone. So like when you're talking and you go up in tone, or you could go down in tone, and you could use that to end a sentence, and that's what the pointing is doing. All in all, this has been really fun and interesting. I've wanted to learn at least a little bit about sign language for a long time, and it's cool to now know, like, just enough to be like say hello and ask for their name. And now to sign the outro, I think, so this is the part where I'm struggling on. I think this is video. It's either video or movie. But I have struggled to find another outro where someone is like doing the sign language as the outro. So it was, thank you for watching this video If you want to learn for yourself, I've linked a couple of the videos that I've used, as well as the channel that I think would be the most beneficial for all of you. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see all of you in the next video.